You are now listening to the Cut and Caliber Podcast.
This is a very special episode
Yeah.
because every once in a while we want to talk about things that aren't necessarily under the category of men's lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll
Yep.
notice this isn't out on Monday. So this is a special.
Yeah.
This is a topic that Steven and I have been discussing back and forth the last couple days, and I said, Steven, shut your mouth. Let's save it for the podcast.
You shut your mouth. You shut your mouth.
So one thing that's come up is conspiracy theories.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of them out there. And Steven and I have both.
How many are out there, Kyle?
Last I counted, it was 6,942.
Oh man, that's a ton. We're going to talk about each and every single one of them today.
So buckle up.
Hello.
So we thought we would just kind of freestyle and kind of see what the other one believes about certain things. Maybe we'll find out one of us believes in a conspiracy theory.
You know what? And it might be true, and I won't judge you for it.
Why is it me?
Actually, you should be more worried
I'm
about
the
me.
anti-conspiracy theorist.
Yeah. The thing is, I think we've bonded over like conspiracy theories before too.
Well, it started off scary movies.
Yeah. True.
We found a mutual interest in scary stuff.
Mhm.
And
Horror
I don't know.
movies.
Yeah, and I don't know why. Then you get into ghosts.
Yep.
Then you get into UFOs somehow and Bigfoot.
Man.
And then next thing you know,
I mean, you're
a flat earther.
you're already walking that line of conspiracy theories with Bigfoot and Loch Ness Monster and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, I would say Loch Ness was one of my first ones that I got interested in.
Really?
Only because as a kid I was really interested in dinosaurs. And so I started researching what dinosaurs are still alive. And this was pre-internet, right? Which we can say.
So you were like using like Webster's.
I was using books.
Yeah.
And so at the library.
Encyclopedias.
Yeah.
Encyclopedias.
And so then I started like dinosaur books and probably some not very credible ones. Started dabbling into
like the Wikipedia books.
Yeah, exactly. It was written by some no-name guy.
Yeah.
It's a coloring book. He put words in. So at Loch Ness.
Calvin and Hobbes is one that you would read.
Credible.
Very credible.
And so I always wanted to go to Loch Ness and be like, I could bring my camera and I'll spot it. And because I believed it.
Did you go over there?
No, never.
Oh.
My parents said, you're an idiot, Kyle.
Okay.
It's not real.
Exactly. And I know I don't believe in that one or Bigfoot. And here's why. Because people have been found like trying to make it, fake. Right. There's a Bigfoot, but it found out that it was
somebody in a gorilla mask.
Right.
Or
a
whatever.
costume and someone got caught. Loch Ness, the whole,
the famous picture was the submarine.
Right.
Kid
so
submarine.
that's the thing. Like those two things right there, I'm like, okay, boom. Yeah, not real. And people still believe them, even though there's people that have been found that were trying to make it even more fake. I don't understand how there are still even things. Bigfoot, I feel like if Bigfoot's out there, people have walked over all over the United States.
That's sort of true. There's a large.
Oh my goodness!
I'm just saying.
Are you going to tell me Bigfoot's real?
No. I'm just saying there's tons of wilderness that we have no need to explore.
Maybe, but like I feel like we've discovered so many animals,
and we
out
discover
there,
them every
bears.
day. Though.
Right. The thing is, that something that big that walks around that supposedly
it's very low percentage, right?
Right. And like every time I just watched something on Nerdist, and it was like this guy who had an encounter with not one but two Bigfoot.
Ooh,
and he talks about
a family,
his thing, and like first off, he's just coming off as fake to me because he doesn't have any proof.
Wants everything like
no
that.
proof.
Right.
He's like, we had cameras all around, but they weren't recording. Oh, why did you have cameras set up?
Because Bigfoot can control cameras with its mind.
Oh, is that it?
Right.
Is that it? Oh, I didn't know that.
Because Bigfoot, according to some theories, is actually an alien.
Okay.
So that's why you.
This is a new one. I've never heard that.
I hadn't heard it before either, but supposedly that's why it's an interdimensional being. Is what I've heard. So that's why it kind of comes and goes because it's jumping between dimensions.
Okay, so now
And I'm not saying I believe this. I'm just saying what I've heard.
It is kind of crazy because you say interdimensional. That is a term I used when me and a friend in college, we got really big into UFOs and listening. Art Bell. Yes, that whole
the guy that cries from Area 51.
Love him. But there was one radio
beings.
show. Now it could be really staged and it could be really well done.
Yeah, the one where the guy's crying, right?
Yes. Yeah. They're interdimensional.
beings.
And it's like, okay, but that's the first time I had ever heard someone talk about an alien as an interdimensional. Like every time you always hear extraterrestrial.
Right.
But like you're like dimensional. I'm like, okay, well now we're getting somewhere because now we're not just talking about one dimension. We're talking about Earth, like, several dimensions or whatever. And
reality.
And that for me, it almost makes sense why people believe in conspiracy theories.
Then it kind of covers ghosts too,
right?
With the interdimensional stuff. Right.
So that when they said that, I was like, okay, I've got to look.
Do you know
into
what
this
happened after that?
The satellite,
the whole station lost power.
Yeah,
right.
Because the satellite got knocked out of orbit, which never happens. But
I didn't hear that part. I just know that the whole station lost power to some extent,
right?
And he was like,
let me go really back. For people listening, Art Bell is a guy who talks about aliens on the radio show. He lives near Area 51, radio. Very popular UFO. Yeah. And anyways, one guy calls in, claims he is a person that worked at Area 51. Yep. And he is in hysterics. He is crying. He's like saying they're coming for me. But he wanted to talk to Art to get his story out there.
Right.
And so he goes on to like talk about these interdimensional beings that look just like people.
And they're they're politicians.
Yep.
They're all these different levels of authority.
Yeah.
And that's why they're coming to get him, because he's going to out them.
So they go on, they're going to go back and forth for a bit, and then the whole thing just kind of shuts off.
Right.
And the
loses
station
signal, all that stuff.
Right. Station loses power, and then the guy, you never hear from him again. Now, could that be like an actor that they definitely had call in, and then could they have staged like the power outage?
Right.
For sure. I mean, it definitely has us talking about it years after.
Years.
Like we're talking like when I found out
15 years.
Yeah,
ago,
maybe.
I
so we're still talking about it. But
what's really funny though is on Tool, the band, very popular rock band.
Yeah.
Their album Lateralis, which was one of my favorite albums. I used to listen to it when I went to bed.
You're such a tool.
I know. I don't know why my parents let me listen to like that like at nighttime. And so I would fall asleep to this album, but it has a hidden track at the end.
Oh, interesting.
After the album finishes, it's quiet for like 15 minutes or something. Then that starts. And it's that guy crying and saying his spiel about interdimensional beings. And then it just cuts off. So I'd wake up at like midnight or 1 o'clock in the dark to a guy crying.
Oh, dude.
And saying that stuff.
Oh, man. How did you...
And I did it every night.
No wonder you were so screwed up in that.
I don't know. I think back, I'm like, what was I doing? And so I would have to wake up and grab the controller and turn it off.
Yeah.
It would creep me out.
Yeah, for sure, dude. That creeps me out just thinking about it.
And then I just do it the next night.
I had a picture fall off in the middle of the night or a couple weeks ago. That scared the crap out of me because I didn't know what was happening.
Yeah, you
like
got
3 a.m. Yeah, so waking up to a guy crying, that would
because it's over top of like a little bit of like atmospheric music too, and I was just
because your mind would wake up and you'd be like, "This is real. This guy's in my room right now, and he's
hello."
Like, that's so creepy to think about.
Yeah,
it's like a movie right there.
What's another like
conspiracy? I was just gonna say that. What's another conspiracy?
The one that I really got into because I can thank my history teacher back in high school, probably freshman or sophomore year, is J.F.K.
Oh,
so he was notorious for like spending a week or two every year discussing that with the class. So the first day you'd have to get a permission slip signed by your parents saying that you could watch the Zapruder film, which is the assassination video.
Yep.
So we did that, and we spent a week or two, I can't remember, basically analyzing who could be responsible, how it happened, and the results of it. And that one got me just
jacked,
all twist and turned. I was like, this is the craziest thing. I rented the movie J.F.K. I got every book I could about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And that was high school. And then when I was traveling around in 2012, I was in Texas and I got to go to Dealey Plaza and like see the site and go, stand
that's cool.
out there on the street where he got shot.
Well, I don't know why. I'm like, yeah, that's cool.
Well, it is history. It is history.
It is, yeah.
And it's like...
It's one thing I've never seen. So.
It is probably one of the most famous... I mean, that's debatable. Most famous things in American history.
Assassination.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about assassinations, you think Abraham Lincoln, you think J.F.K. I mean, like, presidents, because they're in the media. Everybody, they're pretty big
and they're
names.
Very usually controversial with people that are crazy.
Well, one thing about the JFK conspiracy now it is the babushka lady too. Do you know this?
I don't think so.
So this is one that really interests me where, so I don't know if it's the Z, what's the
Zapruder?
Yeah. I don't know if it's that film or it's another film, but there's a film of a lady. So everybody, like, as soon as he gets shot, everybody's going crazy.
She's the one that's not looking
and she's just like walking like nonchalantly, unfazed by all of this. And like everybody else is freaking out, scared out of their mind.
Maybe she was deaf.
Exactly. Well, I'm wondering like, if that's kind of thing, but that's another like conspiracy that surrounded it. Like, was she a part of it? Did she know it was going to happen? Like those are the kind of things I'm like, okay, well, I got to spend the next 2 hours on freaking Google to try to figure this out. So do you ever see the James Franco Hulu TV show about the whole JFK assassination?
No.
Really good. You should go watch that. 11/22/63 or something like that.
Yeah. Date. Yeah, I kind of got over it because I don't know why it just wasn't adding up, and it was one of those things where you'll never know the exact truth.
And I think that's the thing.
And that's why I gave up.
You'll never, with any conspiracy theory.
That's the appeal, is you'll never know.
Right.
Except Flat Earth. We know.
Well, that's not...
but it's actually...
For some people, that's a religion. That's not like a conspiracy theory.
Like you and I have never seen the Earth with our own two eyes
we're
from
only
space.
Taking the news media's word for it.
So I trust scientists and mathematicians.
Yeah. And Elon Musk.
Yeah. I mean, he's given us a pretty good view.
Yeah.
And also, that's one that doesn't make sense to me. Why?
Why Flat Earth?
Why would NASA be lying? The whole premise kind of falls apart.
There's no point.
Right. They're like, well, they don't want us to know the Earth is flat. Like, well, what are they to gain by covering up that the Earth, that's the part of conspiracy theories where it kind of gets silly, where you're like, why would they even come up with that?
Yeah.
And
I don't know. For some people, and it's funny because like I watch these videos on YouTube or Facebook of people trying to
debunk or prove
Flat Earth.
Oh, right.
And
I feel like most of them are jokes.
Oh my goodness, they have to be, because I'm like, dude, oh my god, it's embarrassing to watch it for them.
The best explanation I've heard about conspiracy theories and why people want to believe them is because it gives you a superiority complex, because something that the average person isn't capable of.
So no wonder like people who believe it just
they're like,
talk nonstop.
Well, I'm
about
above you because I have an understanding that you don't.
Okay, I guess that kind of makes sense.
Well, so the Flat Earth is a perfect
that's why I feel so much superior.
Right. Well, it's because people are always like, "Oh, you still believe what you learned in 4th grade?" That's cute.
Oh man, that really just made my
no, I know, but
neck hair stand up. I hate that. Yeah, I get that.
It's common though, because people always. There is some power in knowing stuff that people don't know.
True.
And be like,
no, I get that. I get it 100%. Yeah. It really grinds my gears.
And I've been figuring out a way how I can like slap myself in the face, because I'm one of those people that is but actually. And I catch myself and I can't stop myself. So I need like a rubber band on my wrist to snap every time I like, a reminder to stop doing something.
I guess I do that too once.
Because people are like, then I wonder what, or they'll say something that they're positive about, and I'm like, well, actually, that's not the case.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I hate myself. I hate myself.
You just opened up that can.
I know.
Yeah.
And it's. I think as a parent, you run into that more because you have these little people.
Oh yeah.
That don't hardly know anything, saying things that they're so sure about, and I'm like, nothing frustrates me more.
You have,
yeah.
But I mean, he's like you just. There's a point where you got to teach him. You got to teach
right,
him.
and that's what I use it as. Is I'm like, are you sure about that answer? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, all right, let's look it up. And he's like, why do you have to look everything up? And I'm like, because I can't stand you walking around spreading those false truths.
Lies. Yeah. You're a liar. Yeah. You're a liar.
So I had fun with that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But actually,
I was saying, well, actually, that's how I was going to segue into the next one. But actually, let's talk about 9/11.
Oh, that is. I think we can talk about this topic without getting into details. I just want to talk about the conspiracy theories, because this was obviously a very tragic day for American history.
For world history.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, there was definitely people celebrating it in the world. True. So it's like there are those people.
Yeah.
But
no, it's
I don't think there's a bigger conspiracy theory than that.
Because I think first off, for most of the people probably listening, and for most of the people that live on this earth right now, it happened in their lifetime. Most of the crazy events, conspiracy theories, like even the Bigfoot video, that was I don't think I was even born.
No,
1960s, I think.
If even that.
Yeah, so I mean, like JFK, like that happened outside of my thing. So 9/11 is so big.
Well, and it was also in the tech era where you could where there was video evidence of it.
Well, and now I think even going more than 9/11 it's like almost every tragedy that happens.
Oh yeah. Leads to some conspiracy thing.
Right, exactly. Like people are always coming up with just crazy explanations as to what happens. Like I remember reading on Reddit Boston bombing. And seeing videos of and being like, whoa, like actually trying to like get to the bottom of it.
Well, yeah, to comprehend it. That was like one of the first things that they went to Reddit.
I remember.
Then that's
how I found out about Boston bombing. And it was like, I was, even giving updates to my family because, I was on Reddit at that time.
Yeah.
And I still am. So.
And I think that's a big part of it is, so to tie this back into true crime, which I always love to do, is when there's been an unfortunate, let's say there's been a murder and they're trying to release details to the public. They don't release everything because they can't. They have to withhold information so that if they were to catch somebody, they would get that knowledge out of them that wasn't released to everybody else. Because you have people that come forward and say, I did this. And then they're like, well, what was this person murdered with? And they don't know.
Oh.
Because you have crazy people that will literally take credit for crimes.
Yeah, no, yeah.
And so that's why they withhold stuff. And even over time, that allows people to kind of interpret their own information about the crime. And so then it turns into it was a serial killer. The person was killed with this or that. And so it's the same thing with conspiracy theories in the sense that the government is withholding information and then people fill in the gaps with their own theories.
Yeah.
Or you have the news situation where you have one news station reporting the first thing they heard, then you have another news station reporting something because else. They talked to somebody at the site, and next thing you know is you have three different stories, and they're like, well, the government's holding the truth from us.
Yeah.
And it's like, no. You're talking to people that have experienced trauma, and you're expecting them to give an accurate depiction of what happened, which is literally the worst thing to do.
Yeah.
People under stress are not very reliable for the most part.
And that is interesting as far as like conspiracy theories go, but we also live in a world where that one person's story who
can take off instantly.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
What writes one blog post or what puts out one video, and next thing you know, it's going viral, which they usually do nowadays. If it's
true.
Intense,
And I can think of one specifically. was somebody. It was unfortunate. It was a school shooting, is what it was, and somebody was tackled outside of the school. The news reported on that person. That person was tackled for a separate reason. They were speeding. They got pulled up. Whatever it was.
So everybody else is.
There was one story. So a news said, "Oh, there was somebody speeding away from the school. We have one shooter there, one shooter in the school."
Oh.
And it's like these stories. They being the first to the news is what I think drives conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
Because you have people trying to
I could see
break
that
news
actually. Yeah.
all the time.
And it's just like it's conflicting. Yeah, like you said,
well, and it's
people
just,
are under stress.
And as soon as there's a conflict, then you assume you've been lied to by somebody. And that always turns into some government agency.
The Illuminati.
Yeah, like they put out the truth.
Yeah.
And then they also lied to us.
Now, I mean, there's definitely a possibility
Sure.
that's happening.
But
But at the same time, like, what's the real reason behind it? Like, are they protecting?
Well, they can't come out with the truth either.
Right.
Because they're still trying to gather information.
Yeah.
The entities that be, they're still trying to basically solve a case. And
Right.
so they're like, well, Jim from Channel 2 actually reported this correctly, and Channel 3 got it wrong. They're not going to do that.
Yeah. No one's going to do that.
And so it's whatever's going to get the most shock and awe, clicks, views, etc. So it's very interesting.
It is. I think that's one of the reasons why I'm interested in it, is because it's just like you'll never get that true answer.
It's more interesting to view people's psychology that automatically want to believe there's a conspiracy.
Yeah.
When people...
because people love diving into what they can't understand.
It's true. I mean, and that's intrigued people since the beginning of time.
yeah.
That's something about humans wanting to learn more about stuff. But I saw a good thing where it was talking about the progression of conspiracy theorists. They usually start off on something small, like Area 51.
Oh, for sure.
Or something big, even Bigfoot. And then they kind of move on to school shooting conspiracy theorists that they're only happening for gun control. And then they move on to like the big one, like 9/11.
Yep.
And then it's automatic like FEMA camps and the government's about to overthrow everybody and kill everybody.
Zombies.
Right. And it's like there's a progression of, I don't want to say craziness, but it is
to a point. I would agree with you. I mean, but I've also been on that path.
Oh yeah. I mean, definitely was open to the possibility, but I'm one of those people that I need to see both sides of the argument and make a conclusion from there.
Yeah.
Insofar, I don't believe in any conspiracy theories that I can think of.
I couldn't pinpoint one either that I'm like 100% like this happened.
Now,
because you'll never have an answer. You'll never have 100% evidence.
And there is ones that have happened where you talk about these false flag operations where the government has purposely done things. Sure.
Yeah.
Those do exist, but that's not my first inclination to always jump to that.
No.
But
I think that's, that's good. Is because don't jump to it. Don't jump to those conclusions.
Wait for a while till the information comes out.
Because I remember like Boston bombing, that night I was watching YouTube videos about conspiracy theory about it. And so, yeah.
And that's when you have to be careful with content creation. People know as soon as tragedy happens, especially, that if they make a video, that video will get clicks. Those clicks will turn into money.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter what that information is.
That's what's kind of messed up about
the monetization of all that stuff.
Exactly. And I get it. And like there was like this huge debacle between YouTube and Casey Neistat with that whole there was like the truck that drove through a sidewalk. Right, it was like right next to his house, right? And he walks that sidewalk so he did a video about it and didn't monetize it. Or no, he did monetize it, but it was going to all that was charity. Right. But YouTube demonetized it, but then monetized a Jimmy Kimmel movie or a video about the same topic.
Right.
So yeah, but I think that's scary because once you start talking about that stuff for like YouTube or articles,
you have people
advertisements,
hoping that happens,
right?
So that they can jump on a bandwagon.
Yeah, and then you also have fake news coming out too about it, and then it just like fuels everything. So it's a weird time to be living
Yeah.
and
It's too much
having-
information coming out at one time.
right, and too many tragedies. Let's be honest. But
Yeah. But then it's also, is there more than there used to be, or is it just more exposed now with the internet,
Yeah.
Twitter, Reddit,
True.
all these
Possibly.
things?
yeah,
And that's a whole nother topic that
yeah.
I
I think we went from conspiracy theories to like the problem with the media.
problem with the
Is it?
media. Let's go back to one more conspiracy theory.
All right.
Like, what is a really goofy one? I mean, aliens.
I mean, yeah.
I don't know if I'd say that's a conspiracy theory.
We
so
kind of
much.
touched on
It's-
that a bit.
It's kind of like ghosts and aliens.
Yeah. Well, I think we already talked about that. I think one that I'm always kind of about is the Beatles. And not many people know about this one. Fall.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
Uh
I will say I bought into this one for a short period of time
Right.
because I was like, this is too
Wait.
much.
right. There was a
Evidence.
documentary on Netflix. We watched it while we were living in Washington with our whole band.
Was it Netflix?
Yes, or
Huh.
whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, we watched it with everybody at that time, and I was like, we were ones that were like, well, it could happen, and then like everybody's like, you're stupid. You know what?
No, we actually know more than you.
We're
well,
superior.
Well, actually, we're superior. Paul is dead.
Yeah, Paul is dead because now let's give the people a little glimpse into what it is because this is not really that well known. Everybody probably knows about you turn the record backwards and it says Paul is dead. But there's a documentary out there that really goes into full detail about one night they're recording in Abbey Road Studios. Paul gets in a car accident and dies. Well, the government was like, this can't happen.
Yeah, the Beatles are too influential to society.
Because
right now.
I mean, yeah, they had
this was the rise of the Beatles.
exactly, and so what they did is they found someone who looked like him, and they reconstructed his face.
Yeah, plastic surgery.
It sounds
everything.
crazy coming out of my mouth right now.
It
sounds
that's the
crazy,
thing, right? Yeah.
but that documentary was very convincing. See, I think that's
It was
another
well
thing
done.
too. It was
Yeah.
really well done. So it made you really buy into it. But this
Right.
is the whole story. Anyway, found another Paul, added him into the Beatles, and that's who is Paul McCartney now. And so ever since then, you find every time one of the Beatles mentioned Paul in an interview or on TV or whatever, they always called him Fall. You like it was distinct,
Right.
like an
A couple
F.
times, right? Yeah.
Now, who knows if that's like accent related or just for fun, screw with everybody. But they said this was because the Beatles were mentioning fake Paul instead of the real Paul because Paul had
Right.
died.
And that's why there was assassinations of the Beatles.
Right.
Is because they wanted to, they couldn't handle it anymore, and they wanted to out this
Yes.
fakeness that they've been living, and so that's why that they were
Yeah.
killed. I mean, that's part of the story.
It
right?
is. No,
Yeah.
I just that's the one part I'm like.
Well, yeah, right. I mean,
But so yeah, that is one that.
and then there's lyrics throughout their CDs that reference.
True. Yep.
Well,
You
and this
can
is all
go-
spoken tongue in cheek. They're referencing his demise and that they buried him and
Yep.
all these different things. And so, if you get a chance to watch it, you should at least.
Do you remember what it was called?
Paul is dead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
it
what
is
was
called that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely an interesting documentary if you're into conspiracy theories. But let us know what you think about it.
Yeah.
I'd be really curious.
Let
to
us
see if
know how
anybody
big of
watches it.
idiots we were back in 2009.
I remember like arguing with people and being like, "Well,
Like-
I mean, you saw the documentary,
But-
you remember that part."
But do you see how easy it is to take that? Like, I know the truth.
oh yeah,
And I want to not necessarily rub it in your face, but I want to let you know that you don't know more than I do.
yeah, exactly.
It's a weird.
I understand that though.
No, I totally get
We
it.
all fall into that for sure.
It's
You more than others. Just
well, actually,
I do it too. I always do it.
I think it's because people love to feel like they know a secret,
yeah,
like
but a secret that like you can actually talk about.
that, like everybody else doesn't know.
Yeah.
And it's like Michael Scott on The Office when everybody has a secret. And he's like, "What's the secret?" And no one will tell him. He's like, "If somebody doesn't tell me, I'm going to scream." And it's like, that's what I always think of is everybody wants to know.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I think we're good there.
I think we covered
a lot of conspiracy
We covered all
theories.
6,242.
Yeah, I forgot we put a number on it.
Easily.
Well, cool. If you like these, like, I don't know. I mean,
These
this
are
isn't Monday.
one-offs.
Yeah, little one-offs here and there.
And these are just stuff like Steven and I love to talk about business, entrepreneurship, marketing.
Right.
All of the men's lifestyle things that we'll continue to talk about. But every once in a while, it feels good to just have a conversation about silly things.
Yeah.
And Steven and I go way back, but there's still stuff we don't know about each other. So it's kind of fun to see if maybe one of us is a psycho.
It's Kyle.
It's Steven.
Spoiler alert.
Well, actually, it's Steven. Okay.
Well, actually.
Exactly. So,
cool.
Thanks for tuning in again. And as always, you can find us on all the social medias out there. Instagram's at Cut and Caliber, and me is at Kyle Redding.
And me as at Stephen Cornfield.
Yep. Find us on Facebook. Leave us a comment. Leave us a review on iTunes. And as always, we'll be back next week.
See ya.